Hello, this is Mr. Henry, and we are going to continue with lesson 10.2. The game plan is still to have the test on Tuesday when you come back, so be prepared. We're going to finish up the lesson here through video format, and then on Schoology, you will have the practice test made available to you. And then actually at the end of this video, I'm going to go through the practice test so that hopefully there are 0 questions on what to do for the quiz or for the test on Tuesday. Okay, so we left off, we did the problem before this, example A. So here what we're trying to do is we're going to graph this function. So we're going to start by finding the line of symmetry, find the x coordinate. So that was the formula. X equals opposite of b over 2a. So our a is 1, our b is -2, our c is -3. So when I plug in opposite of -2 over 2 times 1, a -2 is a positive 2, and then 2 times 1 is 2, which gives me my line of symmetry is about this line of 1. Now to find the actual coordinate, x, y table. So if I plug in 1 for my x value, my y value is, I don't know, see, 1 squared is 1, 2 times 1 is -2, minus 3 is -4. Double check it. 1 squared is 1. -2 times 1 is -2. Minus 3, that's -5. 1 more makes -4. Okay. Now, I'm going to plug in 0. Kind of think we did this problem in class, but I don't have my iPad to check which one we did. That's okay. If you did this one, it's a good refresher. I'm going to plug in the point 0. And that gives me -3. So if I plot these points, 1, -4, I'll change color, is here. Red is a bad color. Black's better. There's 1, -4, 0, -3, and it's symmetrical across this dotted line. That's why we find the line, is to find this line of symmetry. By the way, the line of symmetry is the line x equals 1. See? X equals 1. That is this dotted line. I'm going to keep going and I'm going to find more points. So if I'm going to plug in, well, I can't plug in 2. I could plug in 2, but I know the answer is going to already be a -3. So that's not worth my time plugging in. So I'm going to plug in a 3. So if I plug in a 3 here, let's see. Get this junk out of the way. 3 squared is 9. -2 times 3 is -6 minus 3. That gives me 0. So 3, 0. And then I know on the other side I'm going to have a -1, 0. Keep going. I'm going to go until my graph runs off the graph space. If I remember right, this was 4, 7. If this is the problem I'm thinking it was from yesterday. So plug in 4 is 16. 16 minus 2 times 4 is -2 times 4 is -8, minus 3. That gives me -11, and 16 makes 5. So 4, 5, and then -2, 5 would be on the other side. I'm not sure if 5 is going to fit. I don't think it will, but I'm here. I might as well do it. If I plug in 5, 5 squared is 25. 25 minus 2 times 5 is 10, minus 3. That gives me 15. 15 minus 3 is 12. No, that doesn't fit. Okay, so I have now my parabola. Whoa, that was bad. Where's my undo? There it is. So it's something like this. And up, and up, and up, and up. The other side. There we go. Okay, so we've graphed the parabola. Things you need to be able to do for the test. You need to be able to graph a parabola, like this one. You need to be able to find the line of symmetry. There it is. And you need to be able to find the vertex. That's him. And that we found as well. Okay? We might have done that one yesterday. We definitely didn't do this one. Okay? So this is letter C. If you'd like to start working along with me, we'll go through this together, or you can try to work faster than me and try to beat me to the end. So I'm going to start by finding my line of symmetry. X equals opposite of B over 2A. My A is 1. There it is. My B is negative 4. There it is. My C is 1. There it is. So now I'm going to plug in. Opposite of negative 4 is a positive 4 over 2 times A, which is 1. So I get 4 over 2, just 2. So my line of symmetry, whoa, man, too much, Jesus, that thing undoes a lot. Line of symmetry is the line X equals 2. So I know right now, boom, 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 boom. That's where my parabola is going to be centered around. So now I find my vertex. So I make an XY table. I know I'm going to start at 2 because that's somewhere along this line. And now I'm going to erase all this stuff, and we start finding points. So if I plug in 2, 2 squared is 4, minus 4 times 2 is negative 8. So negative 8 plus 1. 4 minus 8 is negative 4. Negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. So I have my point at 2, negative 3. That is my vertex. This is the either minimum or the maximum. It's where the parabola changes its shape. Now, I keep going. So I know it's crossing at 2, so I'm going to plug in, well, why not? I'm going to try 0. I know 0 is easy, because if I plug in 0, I get 0, 0, 1. Boom. Over 2, up, oh, what am I doing? When x is 0, y is 1. On the other side, it's symmetrical. So I've got 3 points already. I'm going to try to find this one in the middle. I'm going to plug in 1, because I think it's going to be easier than plugging in 0. The numbers will be a little bit smaller. So when I plug in 1, 1 squared is 1. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Plus 1 is plus 1. That gives me negative 2. So the point 1, negative 2, and symmetrical on the other side. I keep going. I'm going to plug in negative 1. Why not? I could plug in 5. I'll get the same answers if I plug in negative 1. I just think plugging in negative 1 might give me smaller numbers, easier numbers. Negative 1 squared is 1. Negative 1 times by negative 4 is a positive 4. Plus 1. That gives me 5 plus 1 is 6. Negative 1, 6. And on the other side, symmetrical, 5, 6. I can tell that my next point, negative 2 and positive 6, will be up too high. They're not going to fit on the graph, so this is now my parabola. Do my best. Oh, that was terrible. Close enough. So there we have it graphed. I have my line of symmetry. I have my vertex, which is this point right there. I have my graph. That's everything you need to be able to do for this lesson. Okay? Now, the next problem here says, consider this function that. Does it have a minimum or a maximum? And then what is this minimum or maximum value? So the difference between a minimum and a maximum would be, well, if I have a U-shaped parabola, this guy does not have a maximum. These lines keep going on up and up and up forever into infinity. But it does have a minimum. The minimum would be right there in the middle. It's where the vertex is. It is the smallest value that this function goes through. The same thing is true for the N-shaped parabolas and a maximum. The maximum is right where the vertex is. That is the highest point of that function. So when I'm looking at this formula here, that parabola, I'm trying to decide, does it have a minimum or a maximum? All I really have to look at is the sign of my a. This a was negative, which means this parabola is an n-shaped parabola. This is what we learned in the lesson 10.1, that first lesson. We had that quiz on it. When it was a negative a variable, it made our parabola n-shaped. So this problem has a maximum. It has a max right there. It has a highest point. Now the question says, well, what is this minimum or maximum? The minimum or maximum is the highest point. So basically, I want to know, what is the vertex? What is the highest y value, up and down? What is the highest y value this goes through? In order to do that, we need to go through and do more of the same junk we just did in the previous problem. We need to go through and find the line of symmetry to get the x value. We're going to plug the x value into the formula to get the y value of the vertex. So here we go. Opposite of b over 2a. Don't forget your x equals. So now this, if I plug it in, equals, my a is a -3, my b is a -12, my c is a +10. So opposite of -12 is a +12. 2 times by -3 is -6, and that simplifies down to -2. So I've found the x coordinate is -2. But the minimum or maximum is the y value. It's the height. It's the up and down. I now know that my line is symmetrical around x equals -2, but I need to find the y value. So this is kind of like your xy table thing. Don't need you anymore. If I plug in -2 in for my x's, I want to find the y value of the vertex. So -2 squared is 4. 4 times by -3 is a -12. Middle term. -12 times by -2 is a +6. And then don't forget your +10 in the end. If I add these all together, that gives me a +4. 6 plus 10 is 16. 16 and -12 is 4. So I have found this function has a maximum value of 4. This function would be an n-shaped parabola. It is across the line x equals -2, and its vertex, its maximum height, is 4. There we have it. Letter B, same deal. Feel free to work ahead and try on your own, see how you do. It's just more examples of the same junk. I think this is actually probably the last one that I'm going to go through of this, because it is pretty much the same stuff. So, opposite of b is -8 over 2 times the a variable. My a variable is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So -8 divided by 4 is -2. Oh, I didn't say whether this guy had a minimum or a maximum. He is a positive a value, which makes this a U shape. So this problem does not have a maximum. It does have a minimum, though. So now I'll be looking for the minimum y value. I know that happens at the vertex, and I know the vertex has an x coordinate of -2, so I'm going to plug in -2 in for x to find the y value. So 2 times by -2 squared plus 8 times by -2 plus 3. All right, -2 squared is +4. +4 times 2 is 8. Nope, yes, +4 times 2 is 8. Plus 8 times -2 is -16 plus 3. All right, math. -8 and -16 is -24. -24 plus 3 is negative 21. So now I have the minimum value of this function. All right. This is the same thing as we were doing before. This whole thing is the vertex. This line, this parabola, is symmetrical across the line x equals negative 2. That is our line of symmetry. We got that from our formula here. Okay. I'm not going to do letter C. We've got other stuff to do. Feel free to try it on your own, though. End of lesson. All right. Now, homework stuff is here at the bottom of the file. Feel free to try a couple on your own. I want to jump, though, to the practice test. I wasn't planning on giving you a practice test, but I feel it's kind of needed now that I'm not going to be here today to help you guys out. So your practice test is not in the same file. Your practice test you're going to find in Schoology. It'll be a PDF, so you're going to put it into Notability. So you guys can take a second and download the file. Pause the video if you need to. I'm going to get started, though, because I've got dinner waiting for me. So I'm going to start multiplying, or I'm going to start answering these questions on the practice test. Again, pause the video if you need to. I'm getting started. So the first 4 questions just ask us to write true or false in the blank provided. So the first one says, the function, this function, will, ooh, that's not good words. How about that? The function, this, will be wider than the parent function, y equals x squared. Is that true or false? Well, that's true. We learned that this a value, if it is a fraction, it makes the function wider than the parent function. It makes the slope less steep than the parent function. So this one is true. If this a value was something bigger, say a 5, that would make the slope basically a lot steeper, and it would be thinner than the parent function. Number 2, the function y equals that will be facing down in an N shape. That is also true. And again, this comes down to that a value. If my a value is positive, then it's facing up like a U. If the a value is negative, it's facing down like an N. So this is also true. Number 3, the vertex of the function is located at negative 1, 6. Well, that one I can't just say true or false right away. I have to go through and do that whole thing we were just doing a second ago. So there's my formula. That finds the x value of the vertex. So I'm kind of ignoring this point for now. I'm going straight from here. So opposite of b over 2 times a. My a is negative 1. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. And then I math. That gives me 3. Well, already I can say this is false because the x value of the vertex is 3, not negative 1. False or Rooney. Number 4, the function that is symmetric about the line x equals negative 2. All right, same deal we were doing a second ago. So x equals opposite of b over 2a, a, b, c, opposite of b over 2 times 2, my a value is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, and that gives me negative 2. Hey, that worked. My line is symmetrical across y, or x equals negative 2. True. Okay, so you're going to have 4 true-false problems, basic skills. Wider, narrower. You could be asked about the c value if it moves your function up or down. You could be asked about the line of symmetry or about the vertex. The next 4 problems. Match the graph of the parabola with its equation. So I've got 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 4 equations, and I've got 4 graphs. So we need to start matching these up. So I'm looking at these 4 equations, and Feel free to try on your own or zone me out a little bit. Well, looking for differences. This graph here, letter C, is the only one that is n-shaped. So he should have a negative a value. That guy has a negative a value. Also, this is one of those basic functions. There's no b, which means this is your y-intercept. My line is crossing. Actually, technically that's the y-intercept always. So this is crossing at 3. Yeah. So I'm going to say number 7 matches up with C. All right. Other ones. Well, these two both have a y-intercept of 3. 3, 3. Y-intercept, negative 3. This guy has a y-intercept of negative 3. I'm betting number 5 goes to B. All right, A and B. Well, there's two different ways you could go about doing this. One way is you could do that whole x equals opposite of b over 2a thing and find, is this guy here symmetrical across the line x equals 1 or x equals negative 2? That's one way to do it. Or you could pick a point you know works, say this point here, and plug it into both equations and see which one it actually works for. I'm kind of a fan of this. I think this is less work, personally. So I'm going to plug it in here for number 6, since I've already written it down here. So opposite of b is negative 4 all over 2a. My a value is 1, so 2 times 1 is just 2, equals negative 2. So number 6 should be symmetrical across the line x equals negative 2. Well, that's not him. That's x equals 1. This is x equals negative 2, so number 6 matches up with D. So this is D, this was B, this was C, which kind of makes him letter A. Now, I always recommend you do the math to check it, because I've had mistakes where people mess up on one of these first 3 and then it makes their last one wrong because they're just filling in the blank with the last piece. So I'm going to double check it here quick. Opposite of b over 2a. Hopefully this gives me x equals 1 as my line of symmetry. So opposite of negative 8 is positive 8 over 2 times a, which is 4, gives me 8 over 8, which equals 1. Yes, that guy worked out. My line of symmetry was x equals 1. He was good. Okay? So I'm matching. I'm looking for features of the graph, the wideness and narrowness, the upside down, the y-intercept, the height of the function, the vertex, or the line of symmetry. Those are all features we've talked about in the previous 2 lessons that help me narrow down which equation matches up with which parabola. All right, on the back, it's just straight up do the stuff we were just doing in the lesson here today. So I want to find the line of symmetry, and I need to find the vertex. So we do x equals opposite of b over 2a. That is, opposite of b is the opposite of negative 8, which is a positive 8, over 2 times my a value is negative 1, giving me 8 over negative 2, which is negative 4. Line of symmetry, negative 4. Vertex. That's my, I don't need a whole xy table, but I need to find the y value of the vertex. I want to really erase this work because I need space to work, but I don't want to erase it because I want you to show your work, just like I want to show my work. So I'm just going to do the work down here. So if I plug in negative 4 here, negative 4 squared minus 8 times negative 4 plus 3. So negative 4 squared is 16. Then you put the negative out front. So now it's a negative 16 here. Negative 8 times negative 4 is a positive 32 plus 3. My goodness, I don't have a calculator anywhere near me. I'm a terrible math teacher. I've got my phone here. Alright. Negative 16 plus 32. I could have done that. That's 16. 16 plus 3 is 19. So the coordinate is the point -4, comma, 19. Number 10, same deal. I'll save myself some space to do the work for the coordinate over there. So x equals opposite of b over 2a. X equals, let's see, b is -4, so a opposite of -4 is +4. Over 2 times 2, my a value is 2. So 2 times 2 is 4, giving me 1. My line of symmetry is x equals 1. Coordinate of the vertex is going to be 1, comma, something. If I plug in 1 for x, I will find my y value. So 1 squared is 1, 1 times 2 is 2. -4 times 1 is -4. And then we math, and that gives me -6 plus 2 is a -4. So my vertex is the point 1, -4. Last two problems, graph the parabola. So make an XY table, find your vertex if you need to, do that stuff. Now I'm looking at this first one, there's no B, which means we can do what we did before and just go straight to the XY table. I don't have to find the vertex. I know the vertex is on the y-axis. And, more than that, I know the vertex is the point -4. So I'm going to start right at a point at -4, and then I make XY table. 0, -4 was a point. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't know how many points I'm going to need. So, plug in. 1 squared is 1. Half of 1 is 1/2. 1/2 minus 4 is -3.5. 1, -3.5. And symmetric on the other side. Plug in 2. 2 squared is 4. Half of 4 is 2. 2 minus 4 is -2. 2, -2. Symmetrical on the other side. Plug in 3. 3 squared is 9. Now, I'll be honest with you, the way that this is going to work out, all the odd numbers, like when I plug in 1 and 3 and 5, they're going to give me fractional things. I'm going to skip some of those right now, and I'm just going to do the evens. Watch this. 4, if I plug in 4, 4 squared is 16. Half of 16 is 8. 8 minus 4 is 4. So I have 4, 4 as a point, and -4, 4 as a point. I don't think 6 is going to work. I think that's going to be too big, because 6 squared is 36. Half of 36 is 18. 18 minus 4 is 14. So that's too big. Now, I'd like to get another point in here, so I guess I am going to do the 3. I said I wasn't going to do it. 3 squared is 9. Half of 9 is 4.5. Minus 4 is just a plain old positive 1/2. So 3, 1/2. -3, 1/2. And I could probably fit a 5. I should be a good role model. 5. And 5 squared is 25. Half of 25 is 12.5. 12.5 minus 4 is 8.5. 5, 8.5. -5, 8.5. Now I have my parabola. And up the other side. Take your time. Please show your work for this. Please have your graph go the whole way to the edge. Make your dots good, all the dots to the end. Okay? Number 12. I do not want to start straight from an XY table because I don't know where the vertex is, because there is a B. Okay? Since there's a B, I have to now actually do some work. My frowny face was ugly. There you go. There's a B. So I'm going to start by doing, you guessed it, opposite of B over 2a. So that gives me opposite of negative 2 is a positive 2 over 2 times 1/2 is 1. My line of symmetry is the line 2. So I have now the point, well, the x-coordinate of 2. I know it's going to be symmetric across this dotted line here somewhere. So now I go through and do all the work to find what is the y value. So, plugging in 2 for x, 2 squared is 4, half of 4 is 2. Negative 2 times 2 is a negative 4, plus 1 gives me negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. So, y, I'm the point 2, negative 1 is the vertex. I'm just double check my math because my vertex is wrong. All my other points are going to be wrong. So I just want to double check, make sure I'm okay here. 2 squared is 4. Half of 4 is 2. Okay, that's good. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. Yes, plus 1 is still plus 1. That is negative 2. Negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. Okay, good. So I just double checked my vertex. I recommend you do the same. Now I'm going to plug in points like 1 and 0 because I think those numbers will be easy to do because they're small and it's going to be symmetrical on the other side anyways. So when I plug in 1, 1 squared is 1, half of 1, half of 1 is 1/2 minus 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1. That gives me negative 1 and a half gives me a negative 1/2. So 1 negative half and symmetrical on the other side. I plug in 0. Well, I don't really have to do much for plugging in 0 because I know the y-intercept is going to be 1. Boom. 1, 0, 1. And on the other side, symmetrical, 4, 1. So now I decide, do I want to plug in 1 or do I want to plug in, negative 1 over here or 5 over here? I don't know. Kind of want to do negative 1. I think the numbers are going to be smaller. And it's symmetrical, so it really doesn't matter. So I'm going to plug in negative 1. Figure out where it's at. It's probably going to be 2, maybe 3, something like that. A fraction somewhere. So let's see. Negative 1 squared is positive 1. 1 times a half is a half. Negative 1 times by negative 2 is a positive 2. Plus 1 gives me 3.5. Negative 1, 3.5. Symmetrical, 5, 3.5. I'm going to keep going with the negatives. Plugging in negative 2 for x's. So that gives me negative 2 squared is a positive 4. Positive 4 times a half is 2. Negative 2 times by the other negative 2 is a positive 4 plus 1 gives me 6 plus 1 is 7. Negative 2, 7, 6, 7. And now we draw our parabola. And that's the whole test, or the whole practice test. Okay? So, hopefully you guys get some study over the weekend. Unfortunately, your test is on Tuesday when we come back. I will give a chance to ask any last-minute questions we have before the test. So please come with questions if you have questions, and then we'll go through everything when we're done. Okay? So have you folks selves a nice weekend, and I will see you on Tuesday. Goodbye.